cliches exist, but it's pretty easy to recognize them, and I try to correct that. Try to do something a little bit unexpected, but not make random, unexpected things the rule. That's a bad way to do things as well. But as far as recognizing stuff from movies, luckily I haven't run into that problem that much, so it's usually pretty easy to fix when I do recognize it.
I haven't had that issue really much either, but I do understand, so I try to keep current because my book tends to read like an anime or a manga, even though it is written words, and I just love the feel that anime and manga give you, but it's kind of hard to put into words, so I try that. But if there are scenes similar, I've had that happen like once or twice, I will go back and change it because I don't want people to think I'm obviously copying. I do get told my work reminds them of The Ghost Whisperer when they just read the blurb. I've actually never seen the show, sorry. But actually that's gotten me some sales. It's like, oh, I love The Ghost Whisperer. Like, oh, okay, well, that's awesome sauce, so maybe you'll enjoy this. And I've had some reviewers say that they enjoyed it because they said, well, this reminded me of this one movie where this girl went to heck and fought these demons. I'm like, my character doesn't do that, but okay. So, but yeah, if I had to rewrite a scene for, I guess, just I don't want to be too similar, then I would do that.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so aside from what you had said earlier about like her with the teacher and the inspiration, what was that driving force, like that push, that urge that set you on the path that you're on?
For all of us or just for me?
All of you.
Oh, okay.
So what is your driving force? What motivates you?
The reason I started writing initially was actually I was a very, very shy child. I know I don't act like it now, and I was bullied. I'm not afraid to admit that. And I wrote because nobody could take my written words away from me when people tried to shush me verbally. So that's kind of how I started. And then, like I said, Mr. Manager was my spark because it's kind of a weird story. He came into class late as usual, and he yelled my maiden name, made me literally jump out of my chair, and said I would make a good book character. He was going to write a book, I don't think he did. And I started laughing. I'm like, this man thinks I could be a character. Well, I guess I could write a book if he thinks that. And I just started seeing inspiration everywhere, like, just in the trees and, comics I read and all kinds of amazing things like that. And what keeps me going now, other than just my love for my characters, are my students. Because I've had so many students just say, thank you, I want to be an astronaut, and people laugh at me, but you tell me to go for it because you didn't give up after you got those 40 rejection letters. So I think that's the best inspiration, so I'm going to always keep going for myself and for my students.
For me, it was being a child in the 1980s and watching the Transformers, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Thundercats, all the greatest, cool stuff I can remember. And I realized that when the TV show ended, when, say, the Thundercats went off just one episode, like, wow, man, I wish I could see them again. And nowadays, you can binge watch things at will, but back then the only way was to draw them or paint them, and then you could bring them back into your life, bring them back into the room and enjoy these characters that you love so much. That's where it really started, it stayed with me forever. Fast forward to my 20s and I started, this job, and I worked 10 years in an art department, building catalogs, brochures, websites, all this dull stuff. That little kid that loved all those characters was still inside me, and I'm like, I'm not terribly certain, but I think you may only get one lifetime, only one chance, and I'm not going to spend it doing catalogs, I'm not going to spend it doing this dull stuff. I will, draw in the mud in the ditch. If I'm homeless someday, I'll still draw Lionel and his friends, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to lead a creative life in the one lifetime I think I may only have down here, so that's what's kept me in it.
Honestly, for me, probably survivor's guilt. But then, it's the fact of when I started writing, I really started plowing into it, and after 15,000 words on the first book, I was pretty much hooked, and I, just kept writing, and next thing I know, I'm done with one book, And then I kept writing, and the second book's done. And I got a great piece of advice on that. It was never have any 0 days when you're doing creative work. You know, just keep, even if I go in and just correct one word, you know, on my manuscript, I've done something. And just keep working on it, and next thing you know, you're done. So I think that was it.
Thanks. Good question. Anyone else? Sir? Oh, okay, go ahead, ma'am.
So, what if you had to give up and going forward in what you're doing, in anything? Is there anything like you had to, instead of this, just push it and go towards your goal? Yeah.
What sacrifices have you had to make?
I basically stopped playing as many video games as I used to. And TV, I stopped kind of watching TV, except for the shows I really liked. But yeah, it's a huge, doing something like this, you have to really budget your time, because you know, I'm busy with school and stuff, but, and doing other things, but, it's all about how you budget your time, because, I mean, if you look at it from, you know, what was it? Amount of time you spend on something, eventually you should be able to knock it out. So, but yeah.
Over the years, what I've had to sacrifice to stay in a creative life has been just about one of everything. Relationship, lucrative career. You know, I've left safety so many times. I own a house in Illinois. I haven't lived in it in years. You know, it's over there. I rent it out. I'm in Missouri pursuing it. So, and man, I've left so many friends behind, my family, my town. So from this familiarity, and again, it's you keep entering abyss after abyss. You get rewarded for that. You get stronger and more courageous. But it will, you know, I really think going for it all and staying the course year after year, you're going to get a lot of scars, but they'll heal and you'll be stronger. But so it's been quite a trip doing this.
Mine's also time and sanity, because I've had to learn about edits, and I've had to learn about, you're going to listen to somebody talk for 10 hours about your book, and you have to nitpick every little accent and mistake, and you're like, what? And I also had to learn I should have had a business degree being a writer, but that's okay, because there's a lot of in-market things that I was not aware of. So there's obviously budgeting my time, so I've had to give up some of my animes and reading and things like that, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. So like Nick said, you just got to learn how to budget. It's really the key to that.
All right. Did you have a question, sir?
So for Kendall, when you're creating your sculptures, do you draw them out? And if you do draw every angle or every side, back, and front? Or is it just all in your mind? You just know what you want to do and you can picture it all that way?
Okay, great question. Tell us about your process then. Start with Kendall.
Early on, when I first started building life-size creatures, I would do a sketch, what they call a turnaround, usually the front view, side view, and the back view, send that to the client, and they'd sign off on that. And if the creature was small enough, like 5 feet or shorter, I would get like a large, the biggest pieces of paper I could find, sometimes butcher paper, roll that out and do a life-size sketch of it, and then I could transfer my dimensions over. Now I'm to the point, I usually just do a thumbnail front and side and send that off. So as the years go by, I sketch less and less for these things. By this point, it's mostly in my head. I can turn around mentally and see them three-dimensionally that way. So the process of preparing the sketches is getting less and less. And it's now that it's on the computer these days, you know, the sketches may not even exist really.
Do you want to tell us about your process, your creative process from the time that you start thinking about it and getting stuff on the screen or